Hello, this is Doug Davison with SmiteWorks to show you the Tomb of Annihilation for Fantasy Grounds. So first go into your load campaign, select your existing 5th edition campaign for Dungeons and Dragons, or create a new one under Create New Campaign. Go down to select your theme. In this case I've got the 5e theme for Wizards with the official theme. And then if you scroll down here under the other extensions, you'll see that there's a Tomb of Annihilation desktop decal. You can turn that on. You can have any other decals active if you want. That it'll just provide more options to decorate your screen once you load it. So once you've selected those, hit start. It may take as much as a minute to load that, so I paused it and then resumed the video. But once it's loaded, you should be up at a screen that looks very much like this. It'll have a note in the chat window about the Tomb of Annihilation desktop decal being loaded. And then you can cycle through your desktop decals by loading your options for your campaign. Scroll down and then under the desktop decal image, click through this and you should get Tomb 1 through 7, I believe. So these are the different decals that you can have. These will be displayed to the players when they log into your game as well. So you've got a couple different ones there. Some grung, some dinosaurs, and then you've got the little totem of goblins. So once you have that one selected, you can go into your library and then it'll have any of the existing modules that you have loaded. In this case I have the Complete Dungeon Master's Guide, Complete Core Monster Pack, and the PHP Deluxe, or the Complete Core Player's Guide. So go under Modules and then you can search through that. You can scroll through it, or I can just type in the word Tomb. There are two modules that are going to come with this. There's a player's guide, and then there's also the full module. So double click on the thumbnail for each of those. Alternately, you can click and then drag the book closed, or click and drag the book open. The green check mark, if you place that in the box here, indicates that players will have the option to open this on their end. In this case, the X indicates that the players do not have the option to look at the adventure, because that would pretty much spoil the adventure for them. So once you have that loaded, you can close the library modules, and you'll see that it added an adventure section here with the Tomb of Annihilation. Here you have encounters, random encounters, equipment, etc. Most of these you can jump to it directly, and then you'll see it's broken down. If you hit the minus button, it's broken down by chapter. You don't normally have to search through here at all, although you can use the search window. Any of these you can pull up. It's got, let me pull up something that actually has some creatures. So here it's got some Fire Newt Warriors and some Giant Striders, and it's got the CR and the XP set for those. Normally those are going to be linked directly within the story section, so you don't need to jump to this at all. But if you do want to, you can click and then drag any of these down, save them into a hotkey bar to pull up later if you should so choose. In addition, you can unlock these and edit them if you want. So you got your encounters. You have random encounters, which these are a little bit different in that here, for instance, if I go into this one, it's going to do 1d4 plus 1 Aarakocra. You can see, what kind of creature it is. You can unlock this and edit it to make it more or less, and then you can hit generate, and what that will do is it will generate specific to your campaign a random number. So in this time it generated 4. If I was to generate again, the second time it only generated 2. So each time you do it, it will come up with a different value. When you're done, unlock and recalculate the CR. Unlock and recalculate the CR, and you should be good to go. So there are your encounters, your random encounters, your equipment. These are just equipment that's going to be specific to this campaign. Any custom weapons. In this case, there are some different weapons that are going to be available here. You can go through each of those lists. The images, you can jump to just the images from the Tomb of Annihilation. Alternately, if you have your library mode set to GM mode instead of play or create, changes the icons here. If you're in GM mode, you also have links to all of the items here, and then there will be a grouping so that you have all of the different artwork from the other books that you have open. In this case, they'll be mixed in all together. So if you do a search, it will search across all of the books that you have open at once, or you can jump directly into a specific module and look just for the Batiri battle stack, for instance, or you know, any of these other images. Okay, so going back to my library, I've got magic items will be very similar to the regular items. You can pull up any of these and look at, you know, what a ring of jumping does. You can award these in treasure. They'll also be included in treasure parcels, which are going to be linked down here. So you don't have to go into those individually, and these are going to be done by section. So at the place where you would normally award that, is where that would happen. So here there's a gold ring, an onyx figurine, and some gold. You could drag that to your party sheet, not to the character sheet, but to the party sheet here, and then award it that way to your players. Let's see, what else do we have? We have NPCs. Here's a list of all the different NPCs. They're in alphabetical order by default. And then you can do a search for a specific NPC just for this one adventure. Again, just like all of the lists that are in this list here, you can pull up the NPCs, and this will show you 10 pages worth of NPCs that we have across all of the books, and they'll all be kind of intermixed together. Or you can select and then scroll down and just pull up just the ones from the Tomb of Annihilation. So you've got a couple different options to consume the data that way, whichever way makes, you know, the most sense for you. And then if you want everything, you just go back to all. The NPCs here, let me pull up a detail on one of them for you as well. So Asarak, if we pull this up, he's got all of his stats broken down. He's got his you know, various abilities, his immunities, his damage immunities, resistances. All of that's going to be built in, so if you have him in a combat tracker and you deal damage to him, his resistances will kick in automatically. In addition, he has a spellcasting section here which tells all of the spells that he has, and then if you scroll down further, you'll see his actions. If I hover over the different actions, it will recognize you know, what his attack actions will be, and then what the damage portion will be. You can grab all of those, drop it directly on a target, and it will automate that for you as well. So it has all of his major actions, it has all of his spells, the complete description of all of the spells, and it also pre-fills what his difficulty class, his DC value is. So here's a DC 23 Constitution saving throw for his version of the spell, whereas a different wizard casting it would have a different DC. In addition to that, you have the other tab with a link to his image that you could then share with the players. And then, you know, some other notes that you might have. So if I was to take him and place him, let me clear out a few things here. So if I delete my non-friendlies, if I was to drag in Asarak, then you'll see when it becomes his turn here, he has all of his abilities linked that I can pull up and read as I'm playing the combat out. And I can also grab and do an attack roll and drop it on a target, and it'll tell me if I hit or missed or whatever if I drop it on a target. Same thing with each of his saving throws. You can do a saving throw, and you can apply an effect by dragging an effect on a person, or drag the saving throw on the person. It recognizes, in this case, Talisman of the Sphere, has a dexterity save, and it does 40-10 force damage. It'll do half damage to people who made their save, and full damage to people who didn't. It'll automate that sort of stuff for you as well. In a future version, you'll see some of these have a C next to it. So a hold monster has a concentration for up to 1 minute. And the future version of Fantasy Grounds will also automatically roll on the concentration check for you if you take damage and you're concentrating on a spell. In addition, here you've got all of his different effects. If I click on the effects window, you'll see he has his effects built in. So if I deal bludgeoning damage, piercing, slashing, or whatever that's not magic, it should resist that fully. Here, cold lightning would be resisted, and so forth. And then effects, different effects would be resisted automatically. Okay, so we have NPCs, we have treasure parcels, which these are going to be, you know, groups of treasure. You've got some quests that you can drag to the party sheet as well, and from here you can keep track of just whether or not they've completed that quest. So if you go into your party sheet here, the party sheet, if you go into XP, you can drag that over to there, and then as they are given the quest, you can remind them that these are the active quests that they have, and then you can assign an experience point award to that if you want, and then you can mark it as awarded or completed, or you can click on it to open it up, and then you can unlock and make any notes that are specific to this particular campaign that you're running through with a group of players. Okay, so then you get into some story. You have story and then story templates. The story templates will be linked directly in the story, but this is a really unique feature to Fantasy Grounds. When you get to the four-legged dinosaur race, you can pull this up, and in this particular case, it will have, and when you hit generate, it will actually create a result of what happened in the race. In this particular case, it tells you what the odds were, what the win payout would be, and which ones lost and which ones won. In this case, you can have, as it describes here, you can have multiple winners depending on whether or not they came in second place, third place, whatever, but they did return some money as well. And then if you look, there's a couple bigger ones. If you go down to the Unchained, this has got like a lot more examples, and here it's got some multipliers, and you can come through and you can edit this by just unlocking it, and you can make your own. These are calls to tables. There's a bunch of tables. If I pull up the tables, that will show me the values that it could potentially result in. And then here under the payout, you can actually multiply it. Here there's a multiplication, so that'll multiply it out if you were to win. So you hit generate, and it'll tell you kind of what you came up with. You can put dice strings in there as well. Lots of options for you to modify this and make this your own if you should choose. Okay, so those are the templates. Let me close these all down. Your tables, that's what I mentioned earlier. So here's all the different tables. Here's some random encounters. Here are some rare plants that you might uncover, and here it has random values set up, so it'll automatically tell me how many of those I also uncovered. And then we've got some backgrounds. This will be also available in the player's guide version, and a reference manual, and then the story template. So I'm going to actually jump ahead and show you the reference manual first, and then I'm going to go up and show you the story. The nice thing about running it through story, and I'm going backwards to what I just said, but the nice thing here is that if you go through, you've got everything kind of pre-linked with what's going to happen with a link to an image that you could then share with the players. And any of these that you come across, they all link to each other. You can use this next page button to go through like one page at a time if you want to, or up or down a level. And then everything that you need for that specific section is going to be linked in with a link of NPCs, the encounters, quests, links, all that sort of stuff. The nice thing is that you can unlock any of these and you can add your own content here. So if you wanted to add like a custom image, you could just drop a custom image in here, and then say this is my a map, sword coast map, anything that you have basically, and then lock it back, and now you've got oops, I have to open the module, but you could basically link any of the content you create, any custom creations you can modify. If you wanted to just kind of read through what the adventure looks like, you can go into the reference manual, and here this has all the chapters are going to be shrunk down by default. If you click on these, it will expand just that section, and you'll see that it's got the box text that you can click to share that to the players. And I'm going to close this now. You can shrink or grow this as well if you want. It still has links to a lot of the NPCs, what they might say, links to the quest, treasure parcels, pretty much everything else you need to run the adventure is there. But the nice thing here is that in this case you have the images kind of intermixed in with that part of the adventure. And you'll see whenever there's a map or an image, there will be underneath it a link to that. So here's a DM version of that with links to those sections of the story, which if you just hover over it, you can see what happens in the refuse pit. There's an encounter. Or the player map is going to be generally larger and will have DM specific notes hidden. So that's, let's see if I can find one that has Let me get down to some of the adventures here. How about, there we go. So here's an example of an adventure section of the reference manual with a battle map. So here you've got the DM version of the map, and it has details here. Or you've got the battle map, which is scaled. If I blow it up, this is basically preset, so I'm ready to load it with adventures. I can hold down Control and then just kind of click and drag anywhere in here to resize the entire window. I can click and hold the middle mouse button to pan, and middle mouse wheel to zoom in and out, that sort of stuff. But now if I was to take my players and I want to grab all my players, I could just drop them on here. And now they're preset, and it has, the sizes are all pre-done for me. So we've got that. If there's an encounter there, like a stone golem here, he's been pre-linked because of the check mark. I can drop that on, and he is in the very center right here. So I can make him visible, and now the players can interact with this stone golem. You can double click it to pull up the NPC stats if you want, or you can just refer to your combat tracker. Make him visible. There we go. The combat tracker, and you can use his attacks from here. So if I want to drop an attack, I can drop it on, and it'll say, oh, you hit, and then you do the same thing with damage too. So drop damage on him. There you go. So that's a quick summary of everything that comes with the module for Tomb of Annihilation. Oh, one other thing I should say is that you do have, if I scroll down, other than the adventure, you have the player's version, which has a lot of the same sort of content. It's got a little bit of stuff just about some of the backgrounds, some notes about the particular campaign that they can use, and then if I go in through here, they can use the backgrounds, and they can drag this to their character sheet when they're creating a new character, and it'll give them all of the benefits from that. So that's it. That's Tomb of Annihilation on Fantasy Grounds. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.